Hey, welcome to Between the Pylons. Today we're going to break down the NFC. We're going to go through each division, each team, and see what their path of victory to this season is. Preseason is over. Season starts on Thursday. I'm excited. I can't wait for football. It's my favorite thing. I've been looking forward to this all summer. As soon as the draft ended, really, I've been looking so forward to this. Um, there's been a lot of offseason trades, signings. Things could be a little bit different this year. I'm just excited to see what all is going to take place. Let's start with the NFC East. Things just happened a few days ago that got a little crazy in that division. Dallas Cowboys couldn't see eye to eye with Micah Parsons on the contract that he was requesting. Jerry Jones continues to hinder this team with his decision making. He needs to retire. Just get out of there. I can't stand the guy. Um, they only got 2 first-round picks back for him, and I feel like they could have gotten more. But anyways, let's talk about what their season's going to look like now that he's gone. Their offense still could be really good. Dak Prescott's back from his injury. CD Lamb looks really good. The running back situation's a little murky. It's just going to be running back by committee there. But that defense, it looked like it was going to be a solid defense, but I'm not so sure now with Micah Parsons gone. I know they just signed Bland to an extension, and he's solid, he's good, but they don't really have much up front anymore on the front four, the front seven. Parsons was the heartbeat of that defensive line, and I don't know what they're going to do now. I had them maybe winning 10, 11 games before this trade, but without that defense taking a step back now, they might win 7 games. They're just going to be a middle of the pack team, I think. Let's move on to the Eagles. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They still look really, really good. They have a ton of weapons on offense. The defense is lined up in the front four, the linebackers, and the secondary is just top notch. They know how to draft their players. They know how to sign their players early so their players don't get expensive. The Cowboys should take note of that. As long as things go smooth and injuries aren't a factor, they're going to win 12, 13 games again this season. I am concerned about Saquon Barkley. He had over 400 touches last year. He played all the way to February, and that does a toll on the body. And he won. So just like Christian McCaffrey in 2023, he had over 400 touches, was Offensive Player of the Year, and he got on the Madden cover. So Saquon Barkley's following that same trend, and call me crazy, but that Madden curse is a little bit real, just a little. So I'm very concerned for Saquon this year. I feel like he just have a really down year, maybe like 1,200 yards, which is still solid, but compared to what he just did, that's nothing. And he's not going to repeat 2,000 yards. That's impossible to ask for again. But it makes me nervous about him this year. Washington, they might be this year's Houston. Jaden Daniels had a fantastic rookie year. They haven't really added much on offense. They added Debo, but he's only had 1,000-yard season. He's not that great of a receiver. He's a playmaker, but he's not a receiver. He's getting older. Does he still have juice in the tank? I know he could be excited to be on a new team, get a fresh start somewhere. So maybe he has an uptick this year, but I just don't see anything really too much on the offense besides Daniels. And McLaurin, he signed late, and players that sign late and don't miss all of training camp and they miss all of OTAs, all that stuff, all the reps that they could have gotten to prepare for the season, that's going to hinder him, and he could start slow. He could start for the first 6 games really trying to catch up, and then might be able to take off and help that offense explode again. But I don't. They could also win 11 games. I feel like they're going to be a 9-10 win team in the wild card spot. I don't think they're going to win this division. And we got the Giants, who, on paper, they have a really solid team. They have really good weapons on offense. Their defense is insane on that front line. The only thing in question is the quarterback situation. And say what you want about Russell Wilson, he actually has put up good numbers the past couple of years. When he was in Denver, he put up a really good statistical season. It just wasn't pretty. It wasn't exciting, but the numbers were solid. In Pittsburgh, it's kind of the same thing. Down the end of the season, down the stretch, he kind of tapered off a little bit. Um, but if he plays average or slightly above his normal average, then they're going to win 6, 7 games. I think it's going to be an improvement from last year. Anything's an improvement from Daniel Jones, though. Um, will we see Jackson Dart? If Russell Wilson can't get the job done in the first 4 weeks, if they're 0-4, we might start hearing rumblings, talking about him maybe getting benched. Might see Jameis for a game or two, but eventually, once they're out of the playoff race, they're going to throw Jackson Dart in there, see what he can do, let him get into the rhythm of things, see if he can have a flow with the receivers, and maybe prove that he can be the next quarterback for the Giants. I know Brian Dable, he might be on the hot seat this year. I feel like he's been on the hot seat for 3 or 4 years now. I just he needs Jackson Dart to be his rabbit out of the hat to save his job, I think. And yeah, Eagles are taking that division. Let's go on to the NFC North. Detroit, still a really solid team. They lost both their coordinators, Ben Johnson to the Bears and Aaron Glenn to the Jets. They're still really, really tough. Dan Campbell, if there's any coach in this league that is going to succeed with losing both coordinators, I feel like it could be Dan Campbell. He just seems to understand the culture there in Detroit, and his team has his back. They're going to support him no matter what. They're going to fight for him. They're going to break through walls for that guy. Their offense is still loaded with explosive players between Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Sonic and Knuckles. I love that duo name. And Sam Laporta is a above average tight end. They're going to be awesome on offense. On the defensive side, they're getting Aiden Hutchinson back. He's going to hold that defensive line up to a high standard, and they're going to win some games. I'm going to guess from 11 to 13 wins this year, I think, for Detroit. They're still going to be really good and probably take this division. However, the Packers, they could be improved now too with Micah Parsons joining the squad. Their defense before him, I wasn't huge on. I'm still real suspicious of their secondary. They don't have much. They got rid of Jair Alexander. Behind him, they didn't have much. And I'm curious if they're going to be able to stop teams from putting up 25, 30 points on them. Micah Parsons, if he can get to the quarterback, which I'm expecting him to do this year, he's going to have a really solid year, I think, just to prove it to Jerry Jones that, hey, you should have paid me. I don't know if it's going to be good enough to win that division or stop teams from scoring 25 points. On the offensive side of the ball, Matthew Golden looks like he's going to be a stud. Outside of him as receivers, they have a bunch of fringe or wide receiver 3s, wide receiver 2s with Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs. I don't have high ceilings for them. Josh Jacobs is still a really talented running back, and he's going to do work for them, but you can't rely on him for every play, every down. And Jordan Love, I think he's overhyped. I don't see the glamour with him. He has some solid games, and then he just puts up some really bad stinkers. I don't know. He's very inconsistent. He's got a pretty deep ball, but it's just, I don't know if it's just because he doesn't have the receivers, but he needs to prove it to me this year. If he can't prove that he can win a playoff game and take them far into the playoffs, they might need to start considering options, maybe trading or just looking into the draft or something for a quarterback. I don't think he's it. I don't think he's the guy. The Chicago Bears, they could be exciting this year. Like I mentioned earlier, Ben Johnson is now the head coach there. He did really well in Detroit with the weapons that they had, and he kind of brought in that same play style into Chicago. They have Caleb Williams there as quarterback, and they brought in Luther Burden in the draft, and Ben Johnson's going to use those running backs like he did in Detroit, I think. And Roshan Johnson, I think, could have a big year this year. He didn't do much last year. He's going to have a big uptick in touches. The defensive side of the ball is still pretty good. It's not great, but it's good enough to hold teams to 20 points a game. As long as they can score above that, I think they're going to be fine. I'm kind of excited to see them. I'm not a huge Caleb Williams fan. However, he did do some things last year that prove that he can be a starting caliber quarterback in this league. I'm not sure where I would put their win total at this year. It might take Ben Johnson a year to really get his feet underneath him as a new head coach. I think he's going to make Caleb Williams better than he was. Is he going to be a top 5 quarterback? We'll see. The Minnesota Vikings, more quarterback questions. J.J. McCarthy got hurt last year as a rookie. This is his first start. He's looked solid in his preseason and in practice and OTAs. Like, he looks good. He's got arguably the best receiver in the league with Justin Jefferson, so that helps him tremendously right there. They brought in Jordan Mason to help with the running back room behind Aaron Jones. They're going to be a solid 1-2 punch. Jordan Addison is suspended for a few games. He'll be back, and he's a solid wide receiver too. He can hit those big deep balls, and their offense is going to be. I mean, they're going to be solid. If Sam Darnold can do well in Minnesota with, I think, 35 touchdowns, J.J. McCarthy can have 30. I mean, he can't be any worse than Sam Darnold. So I think they're going to be fine. And that defense with Brian Flores as the DC, they're awesome. That defense is awesome. They held teams in check last year, which helped their offense explode and make some close games. They won 13 games last year. They could do it again this year. I see maybe closer to 10. But I mean, they're going to be solid. They might, if Detroit slips up without their coordinators, Minnesota's going to win that division. Let's move to the South. Let's start with the Falcons. Falcons, again, quarterback. The whole league's about the quarterbacks. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going anywhere in the playoffs. Michael Penix, I think he played 4 games last year. He looked okay. He had some solid games. Now that he has some time in the preseason and the offseason to click with his receivers, that's only going to help him and help the offense. And Bijan Robinson is going to be able to get more positive touches because defense will actually have to worry about the passing game. So Bijan can have some open holes and make some big plays. They're going to be a good team to watch, I think. Kyle Pitts, they need to move on from him, start getting somebody else in at tight end, and that can actually, be a threat as a receiver. And I think they're going to be solid. The defense, they added a couple pieces. They're not going to be world beaters at all by any means, but they'll be able to hold teams in check for a little bit. And as long as the offense can hold up, just kind of like I said with I think the Bears, I was talking about, I think they're going to be fine. It's nothing. They'll be okay. I'd say 8, 9, 10 wins. 10 will be pushing it. 8 wins for the Falcons. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this year. They surprised people last year, but I think they're going to win 10, 11 games this year. And they're going to surprise people. They're going to have 10, 11 wins. That offense is going to be scary. Baker Mayfield already put up 41 touchdowns last year, and that was with Godwin hurt for most of the season and Mike Evans hurt for 5 or 6 games. They're going to be really, really good. Evans is already back and healthy. He's 31, but he's still going to put up the numbers. He's going to go for 1,000 yards again. He's going to break that record. Chris Godwin might be out for the first 4 games. He was looking like he was the best version of himself last year before the injury. hopefully he can get back to even 80% of that, because if so, he's going to be a top 20 receiver. And then they brought in Emeka Egbuka, and he's going to be a stud. He was great at Ohio State. He's going to take over that wide receiver 2 until Godwin gets back, and he might keep it. If he can play at the level I think he can, he's going to take over that number 2. They still might use him in the slot when Godwin gets back, so technically the wide receiver 3, but he's going to get the targets like he's a wide receiver 2, possibly 1. Bucky Irvin came out strong last year. He looks like a beast. They still have Rachaad White. That offense is going to be explosive. And on the defensive side, they only added pieces, and they weren't a bad defense last year. They're gonna surprise a lot of people. They're gonna win this division easy. They could go far in the playoffs. Don't be sleeping on the Bucks. The other 2 teams, Panthers and Saints. Panthers, they improved last year down the stretch. Bryce Young looked capable. He looked like a starting quarterback in the NFL. They added a receiver in Ted McMillan. He's going to be really good. He looks good, at least so far. I think he has the chance to be a top 15 receiver his first year. They traded Adam Thielen, so clearly they trust him to be that guy. And by every metric, he seems to be doing that right now. Chuba Hubbard rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. They brought in Rico Dowdle, who also rushed for 1,000 yards last year. So that running back room is going to be solid. Their defense, however, there's not much there. They're not going to win many games this year strictly because their defense can't stop anybody. So hopefully with the offense improved this year, they can focus on the defense in the draft and bringing in free agents. It might be a year that's like, oh, I want to go play in Carolina, and they can get some solid free agents to come in and play there and be excited and want to be there. So that this year's not their year to do much, but next year, if they can improve that defense, who knows what could happen to them? They could be pushing for a wild card spot next year. The Saints, however, they're bad. They're real bad. The defense is lacking severely. The offense has Alvin Kamara, and if Chris Olave can stay healthy and not be concussed every other game, he's a really good receiver. His health is just the biggest concern. Rashid Shaheed had really good year last year. They seem to throw to him strictly because that's all they had. So if there's another receiver there to take away defenders, that could be a good 1-2 combo in the receiver room. I just don't see a quarterback getting them the ball very well. Like, they have Spencer Rattler, who ended up getting a starting job. He was not good last year. Maybe with a true offseason as the number 1, he can maybe be okay, but I don't have high hopes for him. They drafted Tyler Shuck. He just looks just as bad as Rattler. They really need to focus on that quarterback situation, and it could be a long year for first-time head coach Kellen Moore. Yikes. And let's move to the NFC West. Let's start with the Seahawks. Can Sam Darnold repeat what he did in Minnesota? The answer is no. He can't. He's a pumpkin. He had a really good cast around him last year in Minnesota, and that coaching, Kevin O'Connell's a beast. He's a good coach, so he was able to coach Sam Darnold to what he was. I don't see that for Sam in Seattle. They have Jackson Smith-Njigba, and they brought in Cooper Kupp, who at the end of last year was just a shell of himself, basically. And I don't see much on that offense. They got two solid running backs. There could be a big time running attack in Seattle this year. Their defense is still really solid. It's above average. There's just nobody superstar on their team. There's no wow, that player's so good on their team. So I just see maybe like an 8-9 win season for them, maybe pushing for a wild card if in a weak NFC. I'm just not big on Seattle this year. They need a different quarterback. They got rid of Geno, who also couldn't do it for them either. So it's kind of just they went from mediocre to mediocre again. I don't know. We'll have to see what Sam Darnold can do. If he can be Sam Darnold of last year, which I don't think is possible, or the Sam Darnold of New York, and that seems more likely to me. The Rams, They're going to be good. That defense is solid. They got some great players. They had the rookie defensive player of the year last year in Jared Verse. On the offensive side of the ball, Puka Nakua's there still. He's a beast. They brought in Devontae Adams. He's a great route runner, even at his age. He's going to get open. He's going to find a way to break that defense, and they're going to be able to throw the ball downfield. Kyron Williams is an underrated running back. People overlook him for some reason. I don't know, but he's a red zone machine. He gets in once they're in the red zone. He's good for a touchdown. He's good for a touchdown almost every time. The biggest concern is Matt Stafford's back. Is he going to stay healthy? One hit could end the season. He already had an epidural for the pain in his back. Like, how is he going to hold up after taking a big hit? If he can stay healthy, they have a shot to win this division. However, I do have the 49ers winning this division. Surprise, surprise. They had a down year last year, went 6-11. They were riddled with injuries, most injured team in the NFL. Something with Shanahan, this regime, they have been in the top 10 of most injured teams, except for 1 year since he's been head coach, and I don't understand it. I don't know if it's the way they practice, the way they train, or the staff that they have. I don't know. It's frustrating, but they're going to be a little bit healthier this year on offense. Ricky Pearsall, who missed all of the offseason last year because of a hamstring, and then he was shot in the chest and missed all of the training that he could have gotten and all the reps that he could have gotten with Brock Purdy. He came in at the end of the year and looked really, really good. They drafted him in the first round for a reason in 24. He's going to be the breakout receiver this year. He's already had a good report this offseason. They've been training together. I just see him with 1,200 yards this year. George Kittle, they're going to use him more as a receiver. They brought in Luke Farrell to be strictly a blocking tight end so they could use George Kittle as a receiver more. Christian McCaffrey's healthy. That Madden curse is gone. Thank you, Saquon. Christian McCaffrey's going to win that comeback player of the year this year. He's going to have a solid season. Book him for over 1,000 rushing yards. He's going to have double-digit touchdowns. They're going to be great. I know I'm hyping him up. I'm excited about it. Sue me. They're going to win with the schedule they have. It's right now. It's considered the easiest schedule in the league. They play the NFC East. They play no, they don't. They play the NFC South. Confused on that one. They play the NFC South and the AFC East. So between those two divisions, Buffalo is going to be the toughest team. But other than that, their season's going to be pretty easy, I think. And I'm excited about that. They're going to win 11, 12 games this year. And then the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray needs to go. He's not the answer. He's not the guy. If your quarterback is telling you it's not his job to get their biggest receiver the ball, that's an issue. I don't know. Marvin Harrison Jr. had an okay rookie year, but it could have been better. It should have been better. Trey McBride only had 1 touchdown on the season, but he had a ton of targets. They peppered him with targets. Only 1 touchdown? Get him in the end zone, man. You got to do something. And the defense, they're fine. They're nothing great, nothing to talk about. I just don't see it with Arizona. 6 wins. That's it for the NFC. Let me know what you think. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong about the Niners. I'm excited for this season. I can't wait. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Thanks for watching. Remember, Between the Pylons, we'll be here multiple times a week with updates. We'll be here with fantasy tips, predictions, all that good stuff. Keep checking in. Thanks.